All right, here we go. Question number 9, version 2.0 from our 1316 homework number 8 in MyLab Math. Here we're given two vectors, v and w. They want us to find the dot product and the angle between the vectors and then state what they are, the relationship. So let's start by copying down these vectors. Vector v, we've got negative I plus j. And I got to tell you, anytime it says to find the dot product, product means stack them. So we want to stack these on top of each other. So that's going to be negative I plus j. It turns out that these vectors are identical. And the reason we want to stack these is because it lines up the pieces that go together. So the dot product, v dot w, and I probably should go back and fill in those coefficients. That's negative 1i plus 1j for vector v, negative 1i plus 1j for vector w. If I find the dot product, I simply need to multiply the a's together. Negative 1 times negative 1 makes 1. Multiply the b's together. 1 times 1 is 1. And take those numbers and add them up. And that's going to give me a 2. Positive 2. And then the next step is to find the angle between the vectors. So let's see if I'm right on the dot product. Okay. Now, to find the angle between the two vectors, we have a formula that says theta is the inverse cosine of the dot product divided by the magnitudes multiplied. So listen to me, if the dot product would have been 0, I would not need to use the formula, because anytime the dot product is 0, the angle is going to be 90, which makes the vectors orthogonal. Do you understand that? If you get a dot product of 0, you don't need to do the work I'm about to show, because you know that it's going to be orthogonal vectors that have an angle of 90 degrees between them. So we're going to need to use the formula since our dot product is 2. So our formula is going to look like this. It's going to be the inverse cosine of 2, that's the dot product, divided by the magnitudes multiplied. So I probably need to find the magnitude of v and w. And remember, the magnitude formula is the square root of a squared plus b squared, which will be negative 1 squared plus 1 squared, which will be the square root of 2. And guess what? Since w is the exact same vector, it has the same value for a and b, it's also going to be square root of 2. So then this is going to be the square root of 2 times square root of 2. Now that's going to simplify nicely. So the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 makes 2. Think about it. The square root of 2 times square root of 2 would be the square root of 4, which is 2. And then that would give me 2 over 2, which is 1. Now, what is the inverse cosine of 1? Well, what is the angle in the unit circle that has an x-coordinate of 1? That angle is 0 degrees. And if you wanted to check that, you can pull out the calculator and check it. Inverse cosine of, making sure I'm in degree mode, 1 verifies we get an angle of 0 degrees. So the angle between should be 0. And the vectors are what? Well, let's see. If the angle between them is 0, that means they're going to point in the same direction. Okay, check this out. If I sketch a graph of each vector, since they're the same vector, they're both going to go -1 and then up 1. And so they will both point in the same direction, which makes them parallel. If they both point in the same direction, they're running, well, in fact, they're running on top of each other, but they're parallel, okay? So I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave those in the comment section below, or you can text me. And thanks for watching.